Hello and welcome to poster 2307. Can behavioral responses be decoded indirectly? So usually the data acquired during an fMRI experiment can be categorized into experimental design X, such as the experimental conditions in a number of trials, measured signals Y, that is trial-wise bold responses in a number of voxels or the whole brain, and behavioral responses Z, for example, the true response options that a subject could choose from. We can describe the measured signals in terms of the experimental design using a forward model, such as the general linear model. And we can use multivariate pattern analysis to decode the experimental design from the measured signals. If the goal is to predict behavioral responses, there are at least 3 approaches to do so. In stimulus-based response decoding, we would model the behavioral responses as a function of the experimental design alone. If we perform direct response decoding from fMRI, we would use machine learning techniques to predict the behavioral responses from the measured brain data. Here, we also introduce indirect response decoding, where we first reconstruct the experimental design from the measured fMRI signals using MVPA, and then use a purely behavioral model to come up with predictions for the behavioral responses. We analyzed the entire dataset from the neuroimaging analysis, replication, and prediction study. And in this experiment, subjects were offered gambles consisting of potential gains on the one hand and potential losses on the other hand. This is the experimental design. And they indicated via behavioral response whether they would be willing to accept or to reject this bet. We perform stimulus-based, direct, and indirect response decoding, and here visualize prediction accuracy via box plots over subjects. We find that direct and indirect response decoding are about equal, so most often not significantly different, across 4 different analysis strategies. And the same holds true for 2 different experimental groups, which were differing by the potential gains that they received. So with that, I want to say thank you, and please come to poster 2307.